So last time we were talking about the query in MongoDB, and we have some leftover stuff. So let's go from there. The first one is this. So we were talking about how to design a MongoDB query, and we kind of stopped here. So let me talk about this. So this is about designing a MongoDB query over the list. So sometimes in MongoDB, when you design a document, you may have a field that contains a list of elements, so list data type. So that is possible. It's just something like this. Here, if you look at this field, so there are these 3 lines of code. And here what we are trying to do is that we are trying to add a document into a food collection. So we are going to create a food collection, and we are going to add these 3 documents. The first document here starts with the start of document and end of document here. So it has 2 fields, name field and fruit field. So name field, the value is Tom, and the fruit field, the value is a list of 3 elements. So apple, banana, peach are there. And second is name Jane. So name Jane has 3 other fruits: apple, kiwi, orange. And Bob has 3 other fruit: cherry, banana, apple, like this. So let's try this first to see how the query works in MongoDB over the list data type. So first of all, let me put 2 screens here. And let me open the Robo3T. Okay, so here we have a test.ba database which we used last time. So if I open here, there are some collections we have been working. But in this case, we are going to add these 3 documents. So let me right-click on the test.ba database. And let me click Open Share. So let me work on here. So first of all, let me type those 3 lines of the code which is shown on the screen. So using the insert, I want to add name, Tom, and fruit, apple. So let me put it here so that you can see. Banana and peach. And another document into the food collection. So name is Jane, fruit, and let me add one more document with the name field. This is for Bob. And the fruit field, we have again 3 elements in the list: cherry, banana, apple, like this. So if I try this 3 line of code, which is shown on the slide, then it will be performed. And if I go to test.ba database, right-click on it, and if I refresh, I can see that there is a food collection created here. So if I look at the food collection, I can see that 3 documents are added here correctly. So first one is for Tom. Tom has 3 fruits: apple, banana, peach. Second fruit is for Jane. Jane has 3 fruits: apple, kiwi, orange. And the Bob also has 3 fruits: cherry, banana, apple, like this. Okay, and we have this data. Now let me open one more share on the test.ba database. And what we want to do is that I will try this query, which is shown on the screen. So this one. I will try this query here. And let's just see how this works. So type db database and food collection and find the function, and then we can put the query. Query is that fruit field should be banana, like this. So if I perform this query, here will be the result. 2 documents will be returned. The first document is for Tom. In the fruit field, there is banana here. Second document is for Bob. In the fruit field, there is a banana here. So basically, what's happening here is this. So when you use this query, what's happening is that here, this fruit field is the list data type. So fruit is the field that contains a list of multiple elements. And here, what you put is the value, the string value in this case, like a text value. So this text value will be searched over the list, and if there is a match, that document will be returned. So banana will be searched here. Here is a match. So this Tom's document is returned. And second one, apple, kiwi, orange. There's no banana, so this will not be returned. And the third one, cherry, banana, apple. So there's banana here. So the third document will be also returned as a result. So that's why we see these two documents as a result of this query. So that's how the query over the list works. And sometimes you may also design a query like this. So in this case, the fruit should include banana and apple like this. And let's just see if we try this query, what happens. So here, if we change this query like this, banana and apple, then here's the result. Nothing will be returned. So let me tell you why this is happening. So when you put a list here, basically this is the list field, and here you put a value, right? But in this case, the value is also list. It's the list value that contains two elements. So if this side is a list and if this side is value, then this value will be searched over the list. However, if the left side is a list, it's the list field. And if the right side is also list, this is the list of two elements of banana and apple. In this case, the MongoDB will try to find an exact match. So this list should be exactly like this to return the result. So currently, we have three documents, all has three elements. But here we are asking two elements list. So there's no match. That's why nothing is returned as a result of this query. So that's something you have to be careful when you are doing query over the list. So now let me talk about another operator you can utilize on the list. So there's something called the size operator. So this will calculate the size of a list, basically how many elements you have inside your list. So you can specify a field and size operator and number. Then if there is a match, it will return the result. So in this example, if you want to find the people who has 3 fruits, then you can design the query like this. The fruit field, which contains a list of elements. The size, basically the number of elements, should be 3, like this. So if you design query like this, and if you try on MongoDB, it will return the documents when the fruit field contains 3 elements. So in this case, I can try fruit, size operator 3, like this. So if I perform query, all 3 documents will be returned because all 3 documents, we have 3 elements in the fruit field. That's why. So unfortunately, you cannot use a comparison operator together with the size operator. So this is an important thing. So if you try to retrieve documents when fruit list has less than 3 elements, you cannot do this with the size operator. So that's a limitation inside MongoDB. And one of the things, then in this case, what you can do is that you can create a size field inside the document, and you can update this size field with the number of elements in the list. So that's kind of ad hoc and another way to resolve this problem. There's one question here, so let me quickly look at this. So the question is this: how can we find the lists that contain banana and apple, right? So it's related to this. So this, so if you use it like this, if you compare list against list, it does exact matching. So if you want to find the people who has a banana and apple, then what you can do is that you can design query like this, to query, and then you can use the AND operator. So let me quickly do this. So basically, you can design the basic. Basically, you can do this. So fruit, banana, this will try to find the person who has a banana, and you can design another query, fruit, apple. So this will try to find person who has apple, and you can combine these together with the AND operator. So that's one way to resolve this issue. And in MongoDB, if I code this, it will be something like this. Find the function, and we have to use AND operator first. So AND operator can have a list of multiple query. The first query will be fruit, banana. Second query will be fruit, apple. So if I perform this, yeah, two results will be returned like this. So Tom has apple, banana. Bob has banana, apple, like this. So you can, so you can basically design a query like this. Then it will work. So one query finding banana, one query finding apple. Combine these two using AND operator. So that should resolve this problem. So that was a good question. Okay, so that was the size operator. Next one is this, the index. So again, when you have a list data type, so basically it's something like this. So you have a list, and inside this bracket, you have multiple elements. So that's the basic list data, how it look like. And here you can determine and you can compare whether the first or second or third element is something. So this is the first element, second element, third element. So that's what we call as a human intuitively. And in the program language, when you have a list data type, it already starts from index 0. So we can say that the index for this element, here is a 0 index. This is a first index. This is a second index, like this. So if you want to compare, if you want to make sure this second element is just something, you can do that. You can make that comparison using index in the MongoDB. So basically it defines when the nth element is a certain value, and you can use this like this. You can specify a field which is your list, and you can specify the index number. And here you have to wrap this with a double quote. And then you specify the value you want to compare. So the example is like this. You want to find the document when the second fruit is a banana. So second fruit, so second element is index 0. So it means index will be 1. Yeah, index 1. So when the list index is 1, it should be banana. So that's what we want to do here. Then we specify database, food collection, find function, and the query we can design is something like this. So the fruit field dot 1 should be banana, like this. That's it. Then the first index, which is here, second element, should be banana. Then we return the result. So this one we can try here. It's very simple. So here we can type database, food collection, find. And what we want to find is that the fruit field first index should be banana, like this. And then if you perform this query, here's the result. So first fruit, the second fruit, right? First index here, first index is banana. Here, first index is also banana, like this. So that's how you can utilize index on the list data type. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Let me go to the next slide. So now it's this part of list. So sometimes you have this list data type, and the list may contain a lot of elements. And in the query result, you may not want to see the entire list. You may see a certain part of the list. Then you can use this slice operator. So you can specify this slice operator in the returning rules. So if you remember, you can specify returning rule after a query. So in the find function, after you specify query, you can specify comma, and then here you can specify the returning rule, and here is where you can use the slice operator. So let's just say that you want to return first 10 elements from the list field, then you can specify that list field here and slice operator, and you can specify number 10. And if you want to see last 10 elements from the list, instead of number 10, you can put -10. And also, you may want to look at like middle elements. Then you can specify 2 numbers inside the list like this. So after slice operator, inside the list, you can specify 5 and 3. That means that you will skip the first 5 elements in the list and then return next 3 elements in the result. So that's what you can do. So in this example, let's say that we want to find the first fruit of all the people, then we can use a slice operator in this case. So first of all, from all the people, so we want to select all the documents. So our query first is just selecting everything. And then put a comma, and then you can specify the returning rule. The returning rule is that we are interested in fruit. And on the fruit, we don't want to see entire information. We want to use the slice operator to see just first fruit of every person, and then that's it. So this one, again, we can try really quickly. So here, database, food, find function, and the query, just everything, select everything. And in the returning rule, we can specify that fruit, slice operator, and number 1, like this. And if we perform the query, here is the result. So we have 3 documents returned. And if you look at this, basically on the fruit field, only 1 element is returned. So first fruit of the Tom is apple, first fruit of Jane is apple, first fruit of Bob is cherry, like this. So you can limit the number of elements to be returned in the list field by using this slice operator. So one student asked, the first one should be 0 or 1. What do you mean, like first one? You mean the first so it's like this. If you are talking about like in general in the list, so I think probably you are talking about this. If you're talking something else, let me know. So want to find the first one. Oh yeah. So this is different from index. So when we talk about index, we say that this is 0. So index 0. This is index 1. This is index 2, right? So here, when we use 1, it means how many elements we want to return. So 1 means 1. If it is 2, it will be 2 like this. So for example, I think it's better to show here. So if I change this into 2, first 2 elements will be returned. So if I perform this query, you can see that 2 elements will be returned like this. So in the earlier slide, when we talk about the index, it's talking about the position, the exact position, 0, 1, 2. And here we are talking about number, how many. So here, if it's 5 and 3, we'll skip 5. We'll skip index 0 to index 4, that's 5. And then we'll show next 3 elements like this. So hopefully that clarifies your question. If you have any other question, please let me know. Okay. So let me go to the next one. So let me zoom this screen. Okay. So this is also another complex part. So when you actually deal with the list with in the query, there are a lot of like complex things happening. So this is one of them, and I want to show you. So let's try these 3 lines of code first to prepare some simple data set. So basically what I'm doing is that I create a test X collection, and in this collection, I added these 3 documents. So let me try this first, and let me show how this works. So first of all, db test X collection, I insert a document which is x 5. So x is basically number in this case. So in the same collection, I add another document. In this case, x is 15. So again, x is just a number data type. And in the same collection, I add another document. In this case, x has a list of 2 elements, 5 and 25. And then let me perform play button, then it's added. So if I right click on the test BA and if I refresh, I can see that test X is here. So if I right click and view documents, then I can see that 3 documents are added here correctly. So first document, X is 5 number. Second document, X is 15 number. Third document, X is list of 2 elements. First element 5, second element 25, like this. So this is one thing. So I will answer to the question a little bit later. So this is like one thing. So here the question is this: when we perform a query here, like how MongoDB will behave. And okay, so let me go back to the student's question here. So one student asked, how about find the X location to Y location in a list? You mean how to retrieve, right? So you have to use this basically. So you're talking about how to retrieve the elements like this, right, from the list. If you're talking about that, then we have to use this operator. So let's say that this is X position and this is Y's position, and you want to retrieve element in the list from X's position to Y's position, this. So you want to retrieve this as a query result. Then you can use a Sslice operator here using this. You have to skip first. So X position, basically X minus 1. You have to skip X minus 1 element in the front. And then you have to return element from here to here. That means Y minus X plus 1, like this. So you can use this query to retrieve this part of element from the list. Okay, so that's what you can do. So let me go back to this. So we prepared these 3, but the difference is this. These 2 documents, the X is number. This document, X is list. So that's a difference. And let's say that we try this query. So this query is what we covered last time. So basically we want to find document with X when X is greater than 10 at the same time. So this is end. X should be less than 20. So when these 2 conditions are satisfied, we want to return the documents. So let's just see how this works in MongoDB if we try this. So let me right click on test BA, open share. Let me type this. So db test X, find X should be greater than 10 and less than 20, like this. So if I perform this, here is the result. 2 documents will be returned. The first one is intuitive. First one is the second document, which say X is 15. So it's this one. So this makes sense because 15 is bigger than 10, and also 15 is less than 20. So that's correct. So this document is returned. That's what we wanted. However, also this list, this document with the list is also returned. The reason is because of this. The MongoDB will try to find whether X is bigger than 10. And MongoDB will look at this list and there's this number 25. So 25 is bigger than 10. So satisfied. And it goes to the next condition, which is X should be lower than 20. So in this list, there's a 5. 5 is lower than 20. So this is satisfied. So that's why this third list is also returned as part of a result. So it's a little bit not intuitive, but that's actually what's happening. So it's like when you think about this, you may try to think that this number 5 should be compared to these 2 conditions, and 25 should be compared against these two conditions separately. But in MongoDB, when you have a list data and when you compare like this will be applied to the entire list. So this is what's happening. So that's why this list is also returned as a part of a result. So this is a little bit not intuitive. So you have to be a little bit careful when you design a MongoDB query over the list. So actually there's this lm match operator if you want to make sure this entire condition to be compared against each number only in the list. Then you can use lm match operator. Then it will look at here, there was 5 and 25. Then when you have x with 5 and 25, it will check whether 5 is bigger than 10. At the same time, 5 is smaller than 20. So this doesn't match. So it's not match. And it will check whether 25 is bigger than 10. And also at the same time, whether 25 is smaller than 20. So this condition doesn't match. So it will say no. So if you have a use lm match here, this condition will be applied entirely into each element. That's why we call element match. So that one will not be returned. So we can test here. So let's say that we have a lm match here. If we perform, nothing will be returned. And another question is, then why this one is also not returned? X equal to 15. 15 is between 10 and 20, obviously, right? So you may ask that it's because this lm match operator will only apply to the list data type. And x equal to 15, it's not list. In this case, x is just a number. There's no list. That's why. So if when you use lm match, it only applies to the list data type. That's something you have to be careful. So that's why it was not returned, because it's not list. So in this question, when you have these three data like earlier, and if you want to make sure whether it's a list or not, you want to make sure if they apply this condition, we want to return the result, then you can design a query like this. So this is a little bit complex, so let me write down first and let me show you the answer. Let me explain. Yeah, after I write down first. So you can design query like this. Oh, let me actually zoom this part. Like this. So it's a little complex, but basically it's what it does. Like so what I'm doing is this. So I made two separate parts. So first part is here, and the second part is here. So these two parts is depending on whether x is number or list. So this is here. So x point 0. So I'm checking the first element of x. So I'm looking at the 0, index is 0 of x. and I have this part, exists operator, and I check whether it exists or not. Exists first means that x.0 does not exist. So index 0 of x does not exist, which means that this means that x is not list. So if there is no index 0, so let's say that you have a list, then you have multiple elements. So this is 0 index. If there is no 0 index, it means it's not list. There is nothing in the list. So it applies to this one and this one. So when x is a number, there is no 0 index basically. So I'm checking basically x is not list, which means that x is a number in our case. And if x is a number, I use original comparison, whether x is greater than 10 and less than 20. And in the second part here, I check using this whether x.0 exists is true. Means that index 0 in x exists. That means that x is a list. Because it means there is, if there is a list, there is a zeroth index exists. It means there is an element inside this list. So if x is a list, then I use LMH operator to compare whether x is greater than 10 and less than 20 on each element in the list, basically. So this is how you can design in this class. So basically, in this case, so basically this part is when x is not list, basically when x is a number. This part is when x is a list. And then I use an OR operator to combine these two together so that either this one satisfies or this one satisfies, then we return the result. So if you perform this query, so only the second document x equal to 15 will be returned as a part of the result. So to save the time, I will not try this on my PC today, but you can try this later. It should be straightforward. And it looks a little bit complex right now because especially if you are not familiar with the programming language, or especially if it's your first time doing like a JavaScript or MongoDB, it might look a little bit complex. But if you practice more and if you just type and try to understand how each line works, then it should be actually straightforward. Okay, so also another part is embedded document. So other than list, we also have this data type called embedded document. So MongoDB, you can have embedded document, and you can design a query which will search the value inside the embedded document. One of the way you can do is this. You can specify the field on the main document, and then you can specify a field which is inside the embedded document, and you can specify the value. Then this value will be compared against this field inside the embedded document. So here, there are some tests which I can do really quickly. So here, basically, I'm adding two documents. So let me put this here so you can see. So there's a name field in the main document. Inside the name field, we have an embedded document as a data. So embedded document first field is first, data is John. And then we have second field, which is last and do, like this. In the second document, everything is the same. But here we have another field in the embedded document, which is called middle. Like this. So if I perform this query, then two documents will be added. And if I refresh test BA, then I can see that person collection is created. If I look at the view documents, I can see that two documents are added here. So both as a name field as embedded documents, which contains two fields, three fields like this. So here first, last, here first, middle, last, like this. So here, if we try to do this query, db.person.find, and we want to find name field, and inside the name field, we want to find first name, John, last name, Doe, like this. Then the results will be this. Only one document will be returned. which has a first name, last name, John Doe, like this. So this is because of this. When you do query like this, so basically it's similar to what happened to the list. Here, here the name field, this is embedded document. So it contains embedded document like this. And this part, we specify document basically. This is a document structure. So we are trying to find first name, John, last name, Doe, this document structure inside the name field. So MongoDB will try to do exact matching. So the first one, it has a first name and last name, John Doe. It's exact match. But the second one, it's a first, last is here, but there's also middle. So these two are not exact match. So only the first document will be returned as a result. So that's what's happening here. So because it's trying to do exact match, there's another way to avoid those exact match. So in this case, we can use this dot here and use the sub key. So basically you specify the main field and embedded document field and put the dot between them and wrap those by double quote, and you specify the value. Then instead of doing the exact document match, the MongoDB will try to find whether this value match with the information inside this embedded document field. So that's another way. So in earlier cases, this one, if you want to see correct answer, so if you want to find out, if you want to find the documents which has a first name John and last name Doe, regardless of their middle name, then you can design query like this. Find name first, that should be John. And find name dot last, that should be Doe, like this. And then if you perform, both of the documents will be returned because they both have a first name John, last name Doe, like this. So that's how you can do query on the embedded document. So here's one query exercise. So let's do this really quickly. So we want to prepare documents by using the following code. So this one, yeah, let me just show you the answer and you can try this later. So you can try this code to prepare the document first. So we are creating book collection, and inside the book collection, we are adding two documents. First document, title is notch, comment, there is a list of two elements. So it received the two comments. The first element is from Tom, rating 5. Second element is from Jane, rating 3. And second document is a title for economics. It has comments, a list of one element. So in this element, name is from Jane and rating is 4.5. So there are two elements in the list in the comments, one element in the list in the comments. So what we want to do here is this: retrieve those documents which received the higher rating higher than 4 from Jane. So we don't care about any other people. We only care about Jane and rating higher than 4. Name Jane, rating higher than 4. So this book only received rating higher than 4 from Jane. So if we want to design a query to resolve this situation, to solve this problem, then we can design something like this. So I'll just show you the solution and you can try this later. So we can use DB book collection and we want to find, and what we want to compare is the comments. And inside the comments, so here the comments contain a list of elements. So we use LMatch in this case. So for each element, we want to compare whether name is Jane and rating is greater than or equal to 4. Like this. So that's it. So basically, what we want to do is that we want to compare the comments field because comments field contains a list of elements. So we want to apply this condition on each element. So name should be name must be Jane. The comment name must be Jane, and the rating should be higher than 4 or equal to 4, like this. So this will be the solution for this coding exercise 3.